We never signed it. Maybe she signed it.
Let's see. Scroll.
I talked to her one time. I was working the booth. And that's what it was for.
All right.
She was really excited. But she said she's not doing anything for a long time.
Ooh, we got a copy.
It's nice.
Oh,
It's really
us?
nice.
Yeah.
Very nice. I love it when they have big photos. Bruno, take this away from me.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for your patience.
All right. Yes, we will get going. Is Ashley joining us? She said she was joining us from Germany or something.
No, it was 1 a.m. there, so she
Oh.
backed out.
That's a lot there. Okay. Well, then we will get started for Wednesday, October 4th meeting of the Wildwood Celebration Commission. So welcome to everyone here. I'm sure Ashley's Commissioner Ashley Slaughter would say the same thing. We will miss her today, but she'll be joining us probably at the next meeting. So with that, then we will begin with the roll call of the members.
Commissioner Slaughter. Commissioner Schultz.
Present.
Commissioner Jailing.
Present.
Commissioner Hudson.
Present.
Commissioner Jones. Commissioner Coleman.
Present.
Commissioner Shrimp. Commissioner Siebert. Council Liaison Garitano
Here.
and myself.
All right, well, next item on the agenda is if we could just get an approval of the minutes from the September 6th meeting. So who would like to make a motion for approval? We've got Sharon. Who wants to second that motion? Deborah?
Sure.
So now that we've got a motion on the floor, any questions on the minutes? All right, seeing none, all those in favor of approving the minutes, say aye.
Aye.
Excellent. So now we'll move into public comment. I do not see any members of the public here in the room. Check to see if anyone's on the line.
I see Mr. Garitano. There are no attendees.
No attendees online. Do you have any written comments? All right, then we will move on. Next item is 5 on the agenda, discussion of the event. So we will start with the overview of the event by the Department of Planning.
Well, thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair and members of the commission. I will just take a few minutes. Primarily, I think what Stacy, Chris, and I would like to do is again, thank you for your efforts over the past year to make a very successful Celebrate Wildwood. Many of you worked the event as well and spent several hours, if not more, in the city tent or helping the vendors just by walking around and talking with them and addressing any of their needs. So we appreciate that very, very much. We know you all have busy schedules, and so to take a Saturday, just only 2 days of the weekend and spend it with us is appreciated. As with any event, we've been probably hypercritical on some of the things we saw that we would prefer to improve upon or did not happen. Some of them are just little things in terms of our organization, and some, as I say, were just things we noticed that happen every year because it's just a big event with a lot of people. But all in all, we thought it was probably one of the best Celebrate Wildwood events we've had, particularly at the end of the day where we had a surprisingly very good band that we had not had previously ever perform in Wildwood. And I think they knocked it out of the park. And your guidance on getting a different fireworks company to help us was genius because they did a great show. And based upon my timing of it, it was at the upper end of what they promised. In fact, it was a little over 13 minutes. So it was great. The vendors will always struggle there because we try to accommodate all in terms of their needs, one side of the road, in the shade, not in the shade, in the grass, on the street, et cetera, et cetera. So what you probably will see when you look through the feedback that we always request, we send out a survey that Monday after the Saturday event. And the survey is pretty extensive. We just ask authors, vendors, food, the way to keep this, everybody, don't you think? How can we improve? We take the information seriously. We know that we heard from them that day, so we understand and we did our best to accommodate them. All in all, I hope you feel that your efforts over the past year were successful. We were happy with the outcome, because we sure were. I do want to extend my thanks to the police department. Obviously, without them, confidence we have to just do what we need to do and not worry about traffic and potential problems. Alcohol and beer being at the event, just non-existent this year, at least from what I have been told. And then to Chris and Stacy, who I get up and speak here, but they do all the heavy lifting for the 11 and a half months before the event. So I want to thank them as well as the police and you. What I wanted to kind of do with this first agenda item. And to City Council, they fund us, they put up with us, so thank you.
Thank you, Joe. And that is a nice segue, I think, going into just a discussion about any comments, opinions, or observations, and open it up to see what you thought went well or what could have maybe gone differently or better. So I think everyone's all ears to hear what what you observed. Why don't we kind of just ask you, like Sharon, you have any opinions or thoughts?
I think that the variety of the vendors were nice this year. There was more of them there. I like the music, especially the music during the day. I thought it was great music for during the day. And I think that the way it was set up with the vendors and the food, that big food tent in the middle, worked out very well. So the people seemed to have a good time. They loved not the bingo, but that scavenger hunt. Everybody loved that. So I think we should definitely do that again. Because they really enjoyed finding that it was more like a family event.
Thank you for that. Any comments for Sharon?
Any shortcomings you saw? Did you talk
I
to
did.
anybody that said, hey, this?
The only one lady came up to the city booth and she was asking when we're gonna have a shredding event and why haven't we had one? And I don't know who was there, but they tried to talk to, say that she didn't know. And I said, at first I said, I didn't know. And I says, I don't know. It's probably a budget thing. It's not in the budget. So, I don't know. But she was a little huffy about that.
There were some grievances aired at the tent, I feel like.
So,
Yeah, that was the only one I heard, but it is what it is.
so it's good to know, the feedback, and to just give you the answer on that. We actually are resurrecting the idea of doing a shredding type event because there is grant money available by St. Louis County. I did ask our city administrator to explore that because we can get the money to do it. We'll schedule that event. So more to come on that.
Well, I have a shred truck come to my house. It's $5 a box because I have a lot of old files from real estate that has to be shredded. I have a ton of boxes. I do it probably every 3 years. And it's like $60, which I think is good,
That's not
so
bad.
that's what I do. They come to the house, you just give them the box, they shred it right there and they're gone.
I like that information. I wonder who does that. Yeah, so, all right, well then, we'll move on. Deborah.
I agree with everything that Sharon said. I thought everything was laid out great and I thought it all went smooth. People were all very, very pleasant. I didn't run into any angry people or disgusted people. And I think, didn't the parade go smoother from what I could see? I didn't see it stopping or anything. Was the parade?
My opinion, yes, it was way longer and took almost the exact same amount of time. And it was a good third longer
Oh, okay.
than it has been.
Oh, lengthwise,
Lengthwise,
not,
yes.
not just the distance wise.
Right, correct. Just,
That
yeah,
is good.
participant. wise.
Yeah, because we all tried very hard to
It
Keep
was-
moving.
keep moving, although we were throwing candy out and Holly ran into the curb.
Yes, you did, right in front of me. Sorry, the curve. That's pretty funny.
Where the road is divided, we kind
She didn't go around the cul-de-sac.
of, anyway, yeah, I think the only thing that let me think, I thought the fireworks show was really, really spectacular. The only thing I thought, and I don't know if this is anything, it seemed like there really wasn't closure at the end. It's almost like someone should have got up on the microphone and said, well, thank you all for showing up for this community event. It was really terrific. And we're so glad you're here, just as a little closure.
I thought the grand finale was closure.
Well, I just thought a
Yeah.
speaker to say something positive about our community and we look forward to seeing you next year or something like that. That's the only thing.
No.
Well, maybe the new mayor next year will pass that comment on to that person.
I don't know. That was the only thing I could think of. I mean, I thought it was great.
I've seen it done where they say, thanks for coming. And by the way, next year, the event's on Saturday, September 25th.
Right.
Hope to see you back.
Yeah,
That kind of thing.
yeah, just a little closure, I guess. I don't know.
Right, good to know. All right, Karen.
So I thought the parade was great. I read all the comments already. I went through them. I was surprised that one horse did have a problem. Pretty bad. And I think that was because it wasn't solid, so it was kind of bad for everybody behind. That horse really had a problem, I think.
Oh,
So that was, but I thought they did the best they could. They did scrape it, but it was, for the kids walking, I kind of felt bad for that. I didn't think there was quite as many people at the parade this year as I have seen in the years past that I've come. I thought it was a little thin.
that one stretch. Yeah.
I wonder if that was because Lafayette's was just the night before, so I wonder if it was like too much of an overlap. I wasn't sure about that.
Wasn't it their homecoming?
Their homecoming parade was on Friday and then
Yeah.
but there's nothing really on Saturday except for dance. So that Saturday doesn't really affect us. I think it's just that taking your kids to 2 parades and grabbing candy. Yeah, they did. The one thing that I was kind of a little disappointed about, when we on stage, we should have announced who the grand marshals were. Names should have been said. I just think when you have these people that
Yeah, they
were
hardly
special
said
to us, it was like, oh, here's our grand marshals. I think we should have said who they were. I mean, you did who the council people were. We didn't do who the grand marshal, and I really didn't care that you didn't say our names. That doesn't bother me at all, the committee, that's fine. But we've always before, last year, we explained who the grand marshal was, and this year, I felt bad. They stood there and they just stood there and they said, here's the grand marshals, which is, I don't know why that happened this year. That was the only thing I thought that kind of caught me. And then I thought the weather was wonderful and the fireworks were good. And I thought all the vendors were really, really nice people. I didn't see any problem. I didn't see any electrical problems this year. Last year, and the electricity was going out a few times. I didn't see any of that this year at all. So I saw one person that they want the parade longer. I'm like, oh my gosh. I don't think they do it any longer, so. And we had plenty of candy. We had way more candy than we needed, so.
It ended up working out nice because we were able to put it on the table.
Yeah, I brought mine over,
And
yeah.
the kids loved it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Someone said they didn't know where you're supposed to go at the end of the parade. That was one of the comments, that we don't have anybody directing. I guess because we all started here, we all knew where to come, but I guess the float people maybe did not know where they should go break down. And maybe that would be a sign we could put up somewhere that says, where can they, that was just one of the comments I just read, so.
Just for an actual area, yeah, we didn't have one set for a breakdown, but we did have an officer direct them, like, this is the end, go that.
Yeah.
Turn.
But some of those people didn't even come here. They went straight over to Dearborn, Schnucks, so they did not know where they could take their stuff apart, so.
And if the parade route stays unchanged despite the venue location obviously not being available, we can always send it to the back of the theater in that parking lot. That's ample space for everybody.
Yeah,
We'll make note of that.
I thought it was a really good event. I'm curious to see how the vendors, I haven't really read through that about how they did, and I'm curious to see how much they made on the beer tent.
Curious too.
Those are my comments.
Well, with this being my first year serving in this capacity, I had a blast. personally. It was great fun decorating and doing this. This is my first parade. I thought it went really well and it was organized and they got us out of there in a timely fashion. I was really happy to see Micro Meadows there to have a healthy food option because I'm always looking for the healthy food option tent. Maybe bring them in a little bit closer because they were on the very end. I don't know if that's by design or
The
you know,
Italian
if-
restaurant had salads too.
they did. And I guess you don't really need a first aid tent with all of the medics there and the firemen, but my husband and I came across a young unaccompanied boy who was in distress and he was crying and clearly overheated. And so we got him some water. I called over one of the police officers and then they just swarmed and helped him, which was great. But it made me think, is there a first aid tent but I guess that's just obvious with the ambulance and the fire trucks.
The
there,
ambulances
yes.
were working
They had.
5 shifts of 3 paramedics.
Mhm,
It was pretty much gonna cover the day is what I was told. And
perfect.
they were right as you came in off of Taylor on Main, so they were
Mhm,
pretty much obvious when you, unless you came in a different way, but they, huge truck and ambulance was see up.
yes,
We were in
absolutely.
radio communication with them.
Mhm.
So
But overall, I thought the logistics were really well put together. Everything seemed to run smoothly and the flow of pedestrian traffic was. I thought it was great. I only have positive things to say.
I have one more comment. I thought the garbage people were awesome. I mean, that
Mm,
guy with
yeah.
the cowboy hat, I never saw him stop. And the bathroom and the porter johns were always clean. If you ever went back there, they were always kept those up. But that one guy, I mean, I saw that cowboy all day long. I was here from morning to night and he never stopped with the garbage. I thought they did a great job.
Mhm, mhm. And Sharon, do you remember, you had a Band-Aid that you handed out to somebody, wasn't that?
Yeah.
Do we keep a first aid kit in the tent? Okay. It's funny the questions you get asked. in That tent. Unfortunately, I didn't have a lot of answers, so
What was your first?
continue to grow, yeah.
I know Ms. Schultz and I had a conversation. She was asked on a couple of occasions, as I recall, about having something to fill water bottles.
Yeah, where's the water refilling station?
I explained to her, we try to drive the attendees to our vendors, so they buy water there. I explained that to Ms. Schultz that if you want something like that, that's a pretty easy ad.
Well, I think there are organizations that offer that, and then the city, maybe you charge 50 cents to refill your water bottle or your Yeti. But it's hard to please all people all the time.
Yeah.
Yes.
Regards to the first aid, I think we can do better there. We'll add something to the website and the information about it, as well as the little map. and
Into the
brochure.
map, I noticed there was.
Just that if you need medical aid, there's an ambulance on site with paramedics, just get to there or go to the city tent or to the police and they'll take care of it.
Maybe, I don't know if you guys utilize a walkie-talkie system amongst the city employees, but easy to communicate, or you just do it with your phones and texting? Okay. Because I don't have any of your numbers, so it would be helpful to maybe have a list of everybody's numbers day of the event, in case we need to ask a question, get in touch,
You can do that. That's easy.
if you're willing to share your number.
Sure, one of the police officers, a designated police officer could lend their number.
Oh, I'm 100% okay with that. I blended it to the city employees and have you guys at the 10 if you need me. Text me, call me. I would like to get both because sometimes with the music, you might not hear both, but you'll
Mhm.
see it. I was pretty good about responding with them. Either answering it or, oh my gosh. All right, back. We do use the radios with us in the fire department. And so we're in contact with them. And then we also switch over to a different channel to let the main radio know what's going on during the also.
Well, and your crew was walking around. That's why it was so easy to nail
were
down
lots of
an
quick-
officer to help.
There are only a few little injuries. The lady who got sick, I guess it was a diabetic reaction. And then there's a young girl twisted her ankle. So we gave her a ride. Her parents were there. They didn't want her transported. They wanted to go get it checked out themselves. Few lost kids, but some weren't really lost. You know, they were in the child area. The ones we had were in the child, and the parents found us pretty quick. We only had one that we moved over to one of the traffic posts, and then someone located, the parent went up to the police officer, so we got your kid over here. And that was resolved pretty quickly. But no kids wandered off, or we had to find them, you know, a block away or anything. All stayed in that
That's
area.
good.
And the parade time was, like I said, went pretty quick, was longer. Distance wise, time, I think last year we were a little over an hour, and this year we were just slightly under an hour. It was 50 something minutes from start to finish, which is kind of a concern when you got all the cars trying to come in and people, we don't even see what's really happening in the distance where they're having an issue, but with Manchester shut down, could be an issue. 100's open, not stopped at all, so we let people in and out down at the subdivisions, so they weren't blocked in. They would just direct them the wrong way for a little bit
Oh, yes, they do.
down the villages apart of Village.
Cherry Hills.
Yeah, Village Hills Parkway. Cherry Hill, they had to go out and just go out the other way, go down, back up and go out the fairway and then get out that way. So nobody was blocked in. Didn't get any complaints about traffic problems. Worked out well. Everybody at the end, as we kind of shifted a little bit this year, once they passed their spot, they were going to the end because all the kids kind of slowly get closer to the
Yeah.
entrance and kind of get pushed back a little so they can get through. Worked out well.
Well, I'm sure I speak for everyone at the table, but huge thanks to you guys and all of the city employees that make this possible and execute it. It's a big job. So thank you for all your hard work.
And I think you guys made a comment, you thought there were less people coming and watching the parade. I thought there was like more on Manchester Road than in past, but they're all on one side in the shade.
Yeah.
In the shade.
Uh,
Yes, that-
And it seemed like in the past, they were all just on Taylor. And like this year, they
Taylor
seem
was really
more
busy.
on Manchester, which I don't click.
Might have been because we ran out of candy last year when we got to Taylor's.
Yeah.
At the beginning.
I thought they were more on both sides of Manchester last year and they're all on the one side.
Yeah, they were all on one side this-
But the weather was beautiful.
So the people on the right, they got a lot.
Parade weather. I mean, you can't beat it.
Yeah.
I thought it was
Making it
too.
rain.
I was nervous for about a minute.
I said I had the best throw. I did it in there. I can't.
Stacy, Kristen,
Jones.
Mr. Garitano, what do you think?
yeah, I'll go through my list. So, the scavenger hunt, yes, that was a success. We saw people looking for those locations. Parade wise, yeah, this is the first time I've had leftover candy by the end, so I'm not sure if that was just better awareness of trying to give out,
Make it last.
like, make it last. So instead of handing out, a handful to a kid, kind of doing, because they're getting to multiple people. As I was on Manchester turning about Taylor, I did see, because I was Ward 8, we have Ward 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And I saw the Ward 1 golf cart halfway up Taylor, and then there was no other cart in front of it or anything. So whoever was in front of Ward 1 was already turned onto Main Street, while the Ward 1 cart was giving out candy like where the Botanica is. And that was, everybody else was stuck, like I was all the way down at Taylor, and I noticed that, and I said, uh-oh. We've got one person going slow, and there's a big gap in between. So I think there's still some opportunity there. Like you need almost somebody along, like where that Botanica is, whatever, to almost tell the cart people, like, keep moving, keep moving.
I thought that's what you.
I did it.
I
did it.
The best thrower, that's.
I did it. But
don't know where
you
you-
try to fill the gap and throw less out, but you know, it's great. People want to have fun. You can't go out there, just be too overbearing. You can be like, you gotta move, gotta move, gotta move.
Or you tell the two, go around the one and then fill in the gap, fill in the gap that's.
Gaps are
ahead.
natural. Every parade, I've been in parades for 35 years. There's always a gap.
It was big.
There's always 2 gaps and 3 gaps, but
I bring it up because we talk about it, so it's still happening. Attendance wise, I do think there's a difference between appearance and, what was really there. So I do think Taylor was full of people, even that section of Manchester just before the roundabout. There was been some open gaps, which we typically have, so it's okay. I did hear that feedback, or I remember reading it maybe in one of the email feedbacks that you got, that when the float got to the end of the parade, they didn't know where to go, the staging area. The ceremony, I think that was a big improvement. I really feel that was very well organized. I think the mayor who led that ceremony must have had good information. So I think everything that went to a T perfectly there like that. During the day, the music was great. The food vendors, all the artists, kids' activities. The foam party was a hit. I went over there, and especially like when it was around 5, 6 o'clock, the foam party, they were just kids there. They were just filled with foam. I mean, they were going crazy. They were loving it. That is a must-have. So a lot of foam too. I'm sure some kids probably got lost in the foam. So that whole area was really buzzing with activity, the bounce houses and all that. So I think that was really good. In the evening, I think one great piece of feedback that I feel I can give, because I didn't see any evidence of it, is we didn't run out of food this year. Like I know a couple years back, like maybe 2 years back or whatever, two Celebrate Wildwoods back, let's say. There was, I think, by 7 o'clock, the music's going, you're only down to like 1 or 2 vendors that still have food left. And a lot of the others would be out of food. The shish kebab guy, I think it was one guy who always has plenty of food. But anyway, this year, there was a lot of options walking around. So I think that was great. Whatever it was, better planning, it was great. I didn't see anybody running out. People were still eating late.
They
Like,
were.
it was like 8:30 and, I was by the guy that makes the little pancakes for eats or something like that. Still making them. Hot candy was still going. It was great. Music was great. Yeah, fireworks was big hit. I think that was great decision there. So I would say sponsors were incredible. A lot of sponsors. That's great work. That's all my feedback.
With your permission, Mr. Chair. I think many of the food vendors had to go over to Deerberg's and restock, particularly like the Barbecue Society. Because they went through quite a bit more so than they anticipated. So yeah, it did seem like the vendors were a little bit prepared and took our estimate more seriously this year. We always tell them we expect about 5,000 to 6,000. I think they think we're inflating the numbers. And in the course of that day, we usually get close to that amount. Foam party, I concur. It was fun just watching the kids have fun. So, and then in terms of sponsorships, I want to again extend my thanks to Stacy and Chris and Debbie Ward with Silver Tablet Marketing. They did a great job getting the venue's name for our major sponsors. We got the banners up relatively quick, at least they had 30+ days. And I think Ms. Ford did a great job on Facebook, just generating different topics, things to kind of encourage interest. So your all's commitment to the vendors when we increased the price, I think we did a very good job of meeting that commitment of doing a better job of getting people aware of the event and getting them here. Thank you.
Any other feedback?
I have 2 more things.
Oh.
I just thought. So it was supposed to be no dogs, right? But
Yes.
I appreciate that you didn't make a deal because I never saw in my son, I did not tell him not to bring a dog if he showed up with his dog. But he's not from here, so he doesn't get to know. But I just thought that I didn't see any problem with the dogs, that people took care of the dogs. They weren't crazy. And the other thing, I got so many people asking me to buy Wildwood swag that we should sell shirts and sweatshirts. I think we should have that in our booth next year because the time when I was working with you, everybody kept kind of, don't you have anything that has like Wildwood on it? And I would like to have some Wildwood swag.
So,
I think in this, and please, if you know, from my perspective, you all were so successful last year selling the bits and pieces we have left over. We had left over is really odd sizes. I mean, extra smalls and 2XLs and limited sizes. And so we just made the decision that maybe this year we wouldn't have it, but I agree. When I was in the tent, they wanted to buy the Shivering Shadows.
Oh, they really wanted the run shirt. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, they
Oh,
like
yeah, but
that.
I've had 10 people asking if they could buy it.
Yeah.
So I think that's a great suggestion and we'll figure out something, bring it
That's
to
what we
you
told them.
all,
Yeah.
let you decide. Yeah.
They really like that long sleeve. They're looking for that. They look somewhere asking for sweatshirts, someone to just some kind of t-shirts. So.
you know, you did mention the dogs and that was an observation I made. So it was about 8 o'clock. And actually elsewhere too during the day, but around 8 o'clock in the evening, it was by the area where the Kona ice truck is, the little pancake area and the Kona ice, there was a whole line of kids there. Someone came with a big dog and I saw some kids kind of like scared, like frightened. And I heard some of the parents complaining, like, I don't think they were complaining to anyone. They were just talking like, I can't believe they let dogs here. And then one of them I heard was like, and they're gonna have fireworks and these dogs are gonna hear these, you know, they were like this, you know, whoever's near this dog is gonna freak out maybe when they start hearing the fireworks. So that is a concern for me. You know, if an accident ever does occur, like when the fireworks start going off and a dog that's not used to hearing those loud sounds, that would the dog react and, you know, do something,
That would hide under the bed.
whatever, yeah.
I would think I would think owners are a little more responsible if they know their dog. If they're gonna have them at they're afraid of fireworks. I would not bring a dog. I would bring my dog here because he doesn't like fireworks. But
And I
in the daytime, I didn't see any problem. I mean, you know, like you said, it may be at the, you know, but some kids are afraid of policemen too, so.
Anyway,
In this case, I know why.
well, I do think, because it's not just Celebrate Wildwood. I've had people point it out to me when we have a concert. And we may need to kind of revisit how we communicate that because, you know, what if something does occur, does the city, you know, have kind of responsibility? That's why I think we have to make sure we're putting out there that, you know, no pets like that. Especially when it's a concentrated event, it's like that.
Past years, and I never want to ask the police to do something that we wouldn't necessarily feel comfortable doing, although they're capable of doing much, much more. The times I've asked people to take their dogs back home, it's not turned out well.
Yeah.
They immediately see that as, what do you mean? I can bring my dog anywhere I want. Well, not really. And then, You know, and if I have to escalate it and ask an officer over, then it becomes somewhat of a spectacle.
Yeah,
And voices are usually raised. And so we, and this is no excuse to you, we just depend on the good judgment of the pet owner to understand when we say no dogs, we mean no dogs. And if you do bring a dog and it becomes a problem, we'll ask it to leave. But I agree with Miss Jelly, if you're bringing a dog to a fireworks show that's that loud, I think not using very good sense.
well, unless they don't know that there are fireworks.
Oh,
right?
well.
They come and they're like.
Well, like
"Oh,
my
let's
son
do
did not know that there's a no dog policy, and I didn't know he was gonna show up with his dog, but he just stayed for a little while and then he went home. He wasn't there for fireworks, so.
No, I don't, you know, I didn't see your son, but I know it's just been something that's been pointed out, you know.
It's also, we're on city streets. And it's tough. It's hard, and you don't want to go put the dog in the car, or, you know, then or you want to leave, I don't know, it's just a hard thing. I just think,
It is.
I wouldn't bring a dog if I wasn't responsible for my dog, and I wouldn't take my dog in an uncomfortable situation. It's not good for the dog either.
I'm a dog owner, but I don't bring it. I leave it home.
I didn't bring
Yeah.
mine.
It's also hard because a lot of the surrounding communities, it's all do the dog thing. You know, if you go to Bluebird, then people bring their dogs. If you go
Is that
to
a policy?
Faust,
Is that what that's
they
a
do.
policy? Maybe
so.
they don't, maybe they allow it. I don't know. It's
Yeah.
good to know.
So,
It's kind of like the policy is you have it there if you need it. So well-behaved dogs don't cause an issue, no one complains, and if somebody does have a dog that's not doing too well, we got something we can back up, and it was last year, I had a dog that was having an issue, it was, guy wasn't cleaning up after it, so
oh.
he was asked to leave, and he did. Like, you come back later on, but now with your dog, you got a problem here, and he left, I don't believe he came back though, but it's like, no, you have to go.
You know, everybody
So-
knows what the rules
Absolutely.
are with that.
Yeah, it just reminded me that when you brought up the dogs, it reminded me of
It's-
those moms there
Yeah.
talking about it.
We get a
And I was like,
complaint, we
oh.
would handle it. You know, obviously, there's a problem, this dog's having an issue today and it doesn't need to be here. But a dog that would just lay down and not move, we don't just walk up to him and go, you need to leave with your dog, when the dog is not causing a problem. We
Yeah.
like to approach them when we're like, this has occurred. Your dog doesn't do well here, it's probably best to take it.
I like that approach.
With the permission of the chair and the commission members, we'll contact some of the other Iceville, Baldwin, Chesterfield, those that have concerts like us, major events, and just see how they handle it. If we're doing something out of the ordinary, then we probably need to get in line and be consistent. But we'll always leave that decision up to you as the commission.
All
I
right,
have something for you here before we get in, well. It's our meeting, we'll talk about that at the end, meeting schedule, yeah.
then the one last thing, as a vendor, I really appreciate that you two came by to check up. That was amazing, and the way you did the survey, I mean, that's the stuff that's sometimes getting overlooked, you know. And so you guys didn't end with the event and followed up with a survey. You got the feedback that way, but even during the event, just checking it, I thought that was very nice to do that. Shows that there's support, you know, during the event. All right, Leslie Jones, you got something?
Yeah, I was just gonna say, I got asked a lot, not a lot, I guess, but a few times about buying the photo winners pictures. So I don't know if we want to make that available, but there were several people that wanted to know if they could purchase those.
What pictures?
I think it was the photo winners, the photo contest, is that correct? It was all the photos that were in front of the table.
Thanks, Ms. Jones.
Uh-huh.
The idea was Stacy and Chris's, we took the 2023 photo contest winners and they strung them together and put them in front on the tables at the city center. And certainly we could do something like that because when you submit a photograph to the contest, you release rights and we can use it any way we want. In terms of royalties, I think that might be a little bit of a sticky wicket, but we'll ask the city attorney and see what he says.
Or if they could put them in like a calendar or something, maybe.
The council decision.
Oh, my gosh, I heard that one before.
It's not in the budget.
You guys are learning great.
Yeah, we had a Wildwood calendar until 2 years.
And then my only other comment would be, there was a better way to line up when we get to Schnucks so that we kind of know where we're supposed to go when we get to Schnucks instead of get in line at the city hall. And then we get in line again at Schnucks and then we wait and then we were told where to go to get in line at Schnucks. So if we could just know where we gotta go, and even if it's not like the exact order, everybody just goes to a section and these 5 people are in this section and I think we can all line up ourselves and not, you know what I mean?
It was marked. I don't know if they're sent your location when you sign up. That I don't know. But
No,
the
we didn't get told our location until somebody was walking around with a clipboard and came over and told us what section we were in.
The parade. So they asked that we don't give that information just because they have to be flexible for people that drop out or he asked not to do that. But we can certainly give the sections next year, but not the actual position number because
Yeah.
you're always basically in that section.
Right.
So yeah, we can do that.
And then got lots of great feedback on the scavenger hunt. So I think that's something that we could really expand on, or that they loved it. And people were really frustrated with the bridge.
I guess then plenty of feedback. So we'll move on then. Sure. To the expenditures for the event.
Well, again, thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair and members of the commission, the department, Deputy Stacy, Chris, and I have prepared for your consideration the memorandum that was provided as part of the packet. The memorandum got a couple of things. First, it talks about the 2023 event we did in terms of expenditures and then the revenues to offset those expenditures. Kind of collects in with that, the sponsorship component. And then under the enabling legislation for this commission, the department must have a budget from the commission available for before the end of this month to present to city council. So tonight I'm going to start with just kind of the numbers, and then actually for a motion and act of budget for 2024. So on page 2, at the top of that page, there's a table that kind of does a comparison of the Celebrate Wildwood since 2017. And as you can see, up to the pandemic, it was 2 separate events, actually. We kind of linked them together. One was the Celebrate Wildwood event, it was the celebration of the city's birthday, and then the art festival. You can see in those years, the numbers, particularly 2018 and 2019, too expensive. That was a decision then on the commission's part to kind of combine the events, do our best to make it attractive to find artists, multiple day events for the setup and breakdown purposes, and in some regards, don't necessarily want their fine art associated with crafters and other things like that. We do okay. We still get several of the artists that used to patronize the art festival and continually come back and give positive feedback about sales. So this year, we ended up spending about $107,000 on the event. That expenditure breakdown is given in a partial table below. In terms of sponsorships, actual revenue, the sponsorships, booth fees, and the 50-50 raffle we held during the concert series, we collected $24,600. Along with the budget that was set aside by the city council for fiscal year 2023 for the event, which was $90,000, ended up actually making about $7,000 this year. So instead of being a loss or revenue neutral, we were the first commission, I believe, that actually made some money for the city of Wildwood. So thank you. And I think the key component there, again, is we raised the booth fees with no exemptions. We did allow the Boy Scouts in as they're going to do a bush honeysuckle hack out at the intersection of Route 100 and Route 109. So we thought for that effort, they should get something off the ask. And then the sponsorships. And again, that was a big part of it. We did fairly well. 3 major sponsors, Siglia's, local business here, Go Green, which does much of this park trail and roadway maintenance in the city of Wildwood, and then West News Magazine. So again, we met all of our goals. The city council said you've got $90,000 to spend. You need to raise $30,000 to basically complement that. And we want them then to be either revenue neutral or in the positive, the black. We did all of those, so congratulations. I added the partial table just to kind of give you an idea. Because oftentimes you may think, well, where's all that money go? That's a lot of money just for a single day event. And if you look, electric, fireworks, bistro lighting, golf cart, sound system, tables, tents and chairs, and the stage equate to $46,000 of that amount. So it's not half, but very close to half of the cost. Just goes to those things we need to make the music, have the music somewhere to play, to add lighting, to the fireworks, to places for people to sit and eat or listen to the music, et cetera, et cetera. So I guess what I'm trying to describe to the commission is we're not spending that money willy-nilly, so to speak. A lot of it just goes to get the thing set up so we can have the vendors, we can have the food, we can have the drink, we can have the music. So it just, and some of those are just very, very expensive. The good news is, at least in terms of electric, when we moved the village green, we planned that oval to accommodate up to 100 10 by 10 tents with adequate space between each. And there'll be pods of those tents that'll have access to an electrical outlet that will provide the electricity they need for the purposes of lighting, whatever else they do. So we'll be able to eventually eliminate that electrical cost in future years once we move to the village green. And then as we move into phase 2 of Village Green, we'll add some bistro lighting, we'll add the cover over the stage area. And so those things will kind of just come along. And I hope in future years, and there are others here presenting besides me, we'll see that those costs will continue to decline as we basically invest in our Village Green. Use that for these major events. So with that, in summary, did a great job.
Mhm.
We raised money. We kept it within budget, and we actually will return $7,000+ to the city of Wildwood. So congratulations.
Great day.
Any comments or questions about the information on expenditures and revenues?
Positive.
Well, the second part then, for the chair. As I mentioned, the ordinance that enabled this commission to do what it does on a yearly basis says that by the end of October 31st, the Department of Planning and Parks needs to present the budget for the upcoming year for this event. A lot goes into the discussion before it gets to you, and a lot of that discussion, the department doesn't necessarily have a major role. It's not that we don't provide input, we do. As you know, the city of Wildwood always produces a balanced budget for each fiscal year. And each fiscal year, there are priorities that are associated with other events, keeping our roads safe, our bridges in good condition, our trails maintained, et cetera, et cetera. So this year, again, the department is presenting to the commission a budget of $90,000. It's the same budget as last year. It's less than the years before, generally speaking. But in conversations with our finance manager and our city administrator, they and the department collectively believe we can have a wonderful event again in 2024 at the $90,000 level. With that, I also took the liberty in the memorandum to kind of talk about 2024. In fact, it will be at a new venue. And I can almost guarantee that because Monday night at the Planning and Zoning Commission, the multiple family developer was there presenting some changes to the overall design. And that the multiple family developer, which is Green Street Development, has done over $1 billion in multiple family projects across the region and the multi-state area. They're raring to go. So we'll be at a new venue. And in this particular instance, I'm not knowing exactly if we're going to be ready or not, because we are going to bid on Village Green Phase 1 this year. Just don't know how that all equates to construction and completion. I'll know more as we get further into the end of this year and the beginning of next year. We may end up having to consider a smaller event for 2024, just space-wise. That might be the best approach. Ms. Slaughter, our co-chair, had an interesting idea. We've always coveted Lafayette High School because it has over 800 parking spaces, plenty of space in their fields, not football field per se, but other fields. But there's a prohibition on the sale of alcohol or the consumption of alcohol. So you thought maybe we could, and this is a police nightmare, have something over at Pasiglia in terms of dining and drink and the other events over at the Lafayette High School. So that's something we'll talk about at future meetings. I'm hopeful Village Green will be ready. I'm just not sure. And as you know, for some of the members that have been on the commission for a couple of years, we've talked about maybe doing it here on the street, the upper deck of the parking garage, partially in the Village Green if it's not ready. So there's some options we'll go through again and talk about those. But for the purposes tonight, the department will respectfully request motion to approve the budget at $90,000 for the event in 2024.
Anyone want to make a motion for approval of that budget?
I move that we approve the budget of $90,000.
I heard this making a
2024.
motion. Who wants to second it?
I'll second it.
And Karen has seconded it. Any other questions, comments? All right, all those in favor of approving the motion, say aye.
Aye.
All right, and with those abstained, motion passes.
Thank you very much. We appreciate it.
Okay, with that, then the next meeting is November 1st. I will ask you, but you feel like we usually take a break for 1 month or something like that, or?
We don't meet in December.
Oh, that's the one. Okay.
So we usually figure between Thanksgiving and the Christmas holiday. It's probably not the best time to try to schedule something. We do, and most people accommodate it, but then, as you know, come January, we hit the ground running pretty hard. In November, what we end up doing is we start primarily this year, we'll start talking about venue locations. And so at that meeting, we'll have information on the options that you identified over the course of a couple of years where we've talked about this. And then any new options that might avail themselves. And then for the most part, we'll kind of go through that and try to get to a point where we either narrow it down to one choice or a couple of choices. And then ask you before the January meeting and maybe go out and take a look at it and see what you think.
Is the community college on the table or off the table?
It's on the table, but they're building their new building, that second phase.
Yeah,
And so that's a construction zone on probably a third of the property near the existing building. And with the construction phase, they basically have blocked off access to that upper parking lot, and they want to add temporary parking down below with just gravel. So I don't know if that's construction zone concerns me.
Oh, I guess that is it. So we just need a motion to adjourn.
I move to adjourn.
Karen? Who made the motion? Kirsten and Sharon, so. All in favor, please say aye. Meeting adjourned.
Thanks for the books.
Thank you.
Yeah.